everyone, and welcome back to the Joy-Filled Universe podcast. I am your host, Lisa Ryan, and today I want to talk about something that just recently happened to me. It actually happened on Thursday, to be exact, and I had something completely different that I wanted to share, but this trumped it because I think it's something that all of us can experience from time to time. And for me, I was super happy with how I navigated the whole experience because it could have went a totally different kind of way, but because of all my self-development work and my awareness and focus and always choosing better thoughts, better ideas, better vibes, it turned out pretty good. So I was like, I'm going to share it this week with the audience because maybe they can benefit from this too. Anyway, here's the story, right? Okay, so Thursday morning started off kind of off, right? Just really kind of like, ugh. I woke up with a headache. I felt dehydrated. Everything was just like a little bit heavier than it needed to be. So I bumbled my way through the morning and I was getting ready for work. And because of just kind of like this whole heaviness, I got out the door a little bit later than I usually do. And if you live or are aware of living in a metropolitan area, then you know that mere minutes can make a huge difference because it can mean heavier traffic, more aggressive drivers, and clearly just a longer commute to wherever you're going. So another reason too why I was also late getting out that door was because late on Wednesday afternoon, my property manager sent me an email and told me that they were going to be doing an inspection of the property that I rent out because the tenants had renewed their lease. And so I guess this is something that they do. When they renew their lease, the property manager goes out and they just have a quick inspection or review of the property just to make sure everything's on the up and up. So anyway, the condo association too, where the property is, also requires a biannual plumbing and mechanical inspection. So I had already had that done. But one of the things that was required was that they needed a water sensor to be put in the laundry area. So I went out and I purchased this sensor. I just then needed to get it into the unit and placed on the floor in the laundry area. So when the property manager had messaged to me that they were going to be going and doing this routine inspection, I was like, oh my gosh, this is great because I have a sensor that I need you to place in the laundry area. So I will leave it with the concierge and then you can kind of grab it when you're going to do your inspection. And if you can put it in the laundry area and take a quick photo, that would be amazing because then I can use that to close out with the HOA and everybody's on their way and everything's great. So they agreed to do that for me. So I was like, awesome. So then on Thursday morning, I was like, oh my gosh, I got to package that up. So I packaged it up and I printed out instructions that were extra easy. And they were literally like, here's the sensor, put it with the shiny side facing down on the floor, take a picture, and you're done. And I was also very, very conscious to say, thank you for helping me do this, even though they are the property manager and I pay them to manage my property. So regardless, I'm still grateful and I let them know. So when I took it down and I put it with the concierge on my way out to get my car, I snapped a photo of the little package and I put a little text message with it. I sent it to the lady and I was just like, hey, here's the package. It's with the concierge. Thanks again, right? I thought that I was making her job easier and also serving as a reminder for her. And so shortly thereafter, I received their response and they sent me a text that basically said, I have told you that you need to communicate with me by email, not text. And that was it. No, thank you. No, got it. Not even really recognizing what I was sending them. They just responded to how I sent them a message. And for the record, I just want to say too that I have emailed this person and 50% of the time when I do, they won't message back. And then they always say, oh, it went into my spam folder. That's why I didn't respond to the message. And so I was like, okay. And so I was like, that's why I send them a text too sometimes, just to, I don't know, contingency plan, whatever. But when I read their text, right, I was just kind of like, what? And then I thought I was being nice. And many people would expect their property manager to be the one to go and even just get the device and then install it. But I did most of the heavy lifting. All they had to do was put it on the floor and snap a picture. And I didn't even ask them to make a special trip. I lumped it into a trip that they were going to be doing anyway. So I was a bit fired up, needless to say, and I started to react with a reply. I was like, oh yeah. And I immediately got on my phone and then I said to myself, no. Don't respond. Do not respond right now. So I put the phone down. And then a few minutes later, didn't they send me another text? And this text said something like, I'll pick up the sensor and see what I can do. But if I can't figure it out, I'll give it back to the concierge. And I was like, what? And so that translated to me I am not going to help you if this feels too difficult for me. Again, even though they're my property manager, I pay them to manage my property. So these words were echoing in my head. And just for the record, again, this is not the first time that I have endured this kind of back and forth with this person. So needless to say, when I got this second text, I immediately felt it. It was like this surge of frustration and irritation. And then my mind grabbed hold of the energy and it started spinning some crazy kind of stories. Like, why am I paying for a property manager if I'm still doing all the work? Or that response was so rude, or better yet, who's the customer here anyway? And I am just absorbing all of these thoughts and they're just scrolling around in my head. And my awareness then kicked in and it was like, how crazy is it that my mind can so quickly pivot and build an entire movie from just a couple simple text messages? And the truth is, I don't actually know what energy my property manager intended. Maybe they were stressed, or maybe they were busy, or maybe they were dealing with their own limiting beliefs, and maybe there was no tone at all, and it was just my brain that was more than happy to write the script for the mental movie that was premiering in my mind. And I am going to say, though, that the good news, the really good news here was that I caught myself. Even though my mind still wanted to argue and defend and fire back, I overrode those negative thoughts and I caught myself because a little voice inside of me spoke just a little bit louder than that movie, and it asked me a very simple question, which was, what would an aggressive response from me actually change for the better? And the answer to that is nothing. Because if I was reading their energy correctly and I did align to their low vibe, well, then I would have given them the outlet they needed to unload all of their negative energy onto me completely. So there wasn't a single response I could have sent in that moment that would have magically made them feel kinder to me. I realized that there wasn't anything I could fix in that moment. So I chose not to align to the energy I believe existed. And instead, I did what I call a negativity pivot. And what I mean by that is, rather than continuing to replay the situation that had just occurred over and over, and my mental movie turning into a full-on season of episodes, I interrupted the pattern. And I did that by consciously redirecting my thoughts and energy. So I immediately fell into gratitude because it is always my go-to hack for pattern interrupts. So I listed 10 things I was grateful for in my mind. I didn't write it down. I just went through them in my mind. And then I picked up my phone and I pulled up some old videos and photos that made me feel happy because they were really good times to remember. Fun travel, time with friends, time with my boyfriend, and my family, memories of my adorable feather baby Anthony, who transitioned at the age of 27, might I add. But I still feel like he's with me every day. So these were all just really fun memories that made me laugh and, more importantly, gave me a sense of belonging and feeling loved and feeling valued by a community of humans and spiritual beings that just filled me with joy. And then from there, I sent text messages to some of my friends, and I even shared some of the photos, and I told them that I missed them and how much I treasure them, and that I hoped that they all had a great day. So I did that. And also by doing this, I remembered that it was one of my friends' birthdays, and I love singing birthday songs with that Memoji app on your iPhone. Oh my God, I love doing that. So I sent her a very happy birthday song sung by yours truly, and it was a blast and received very well, might I add. So that made me happy too. So all of a sudden, without even realizing it, right, I had just this complete energy shift. So much so that I had to really stop and think to remember what had me so upset in the first place, right? What was that thing that had felt so enormous only 20 minutes earlier and had a complete grip on me, had recessed in its entirety. There was no more restraint. And it isn't because the circumstance had changed at all. It's not. It's because I chose to change how I viewed the circumstance and how I allowed this person to make me feel simply because of the meaning I had placed on the entire exchange. Because you know what? If the property manager couldn't figure out how to put the sensor on the floor, then I just would have asked the tenant to do it themselves. That's it. Either way, it was going to get done and it was going to be an easy fix. So that's awesome, right? And that is the clarity that came true to me. And what was even more magical too, aside from just this better feeling, more elevated state, was I felt a universal ping of thought. And it said to me, send a text to that really awesome realtor that you know and you worked with 3 years ago to see if they know of any good property managers in the area. So I did. I sent them a text, and then she messaged me back immediately, and we had a fun catch-up session. It was good to touch base with her once again, and I walked away with not one, but 2 local award-winning property management companies that I can now explore. But it didn't stop there, because I realized that my current property manager is a bit less expensive than many are in this super expensive high cost of living area. So I was wondering oh my God, how much is it going to cost me to go with someone new? And then the magic kicked in, because I tapped on one of the links that my realtor had sent me, and the first words I saw were, "We match any property management pricing." And I was like, oh my God, so there it is. It's done. And I also still have plenty of runway to explore the companies and to be ready to work with one of them once the current lease runs out. And so I also do need to say that another really awesome thing that occurred here is that I have known for a while that I needed to explore alternate companies. However, I would never have started searching just yet, and may not have even thought to reach out to the realtor that I had known for recommendations unless this whole experience had unfolded for me, right? This whole sensor experience is what brought me to this new opportunity and this new awareness. And I should also add too, that if I had let myself send a spicy response back, then this whole adventure would have turned up the heat, and I would have likely been laser focused on my interpretation of the event for most of the day, instead of just separating myself from it and allowing the feeling that I was feeling to just pass through me like a cloud drifting in the sky. And I think that second part, just letting go and releasing yourself from the energy of a situation that's not serving you, that in and of itself changes the trajectory of your day in its entirety. And I'm so grateful that that's what I chose to do. And, I would be remiss if I didn't also weave in a little bit of the neuroscience behind all of this. And we have probably touched on this before, but our brains are wired with what is called negativity bias, which means that we are constantly scanning for threats, which is why we can sometimes convince ourselves that one difficult email or one rude comment or one frustrating interaction period deserves our attention for the rest of the day. And not only our attention, but the attention of anyone who we can get to listen and tell our story to. But I'm here to tell you, negativity bias certainly is valuable when we are in true danger. However, for situations like this experience that I've explained, well, we can change that default setting every time we redirect our attention by inserting a pattern interrupt or negativity pivot. We are building new neural pathways in our mind, and we are training our mind to respond differently to similar situations that feels negative to us. And by practicing this negativity pivot, we change our perspective, we change our energy, and more importantly, we don't spend unnecessary, valuable time stewing over something we cannot control. So just as I did with the water sensor property manager experience, first, what we can do is notice that our energy has shifted and then that we're moving into a low vibe frequency, right? Awareness alone unlocks the ability to pivot, because more times than none, it's the label that we're placing on the experience that is causing us to feel some kind of way. It's our negativity bias kicking in to keep us safe and ready to defend ourselves. And second is call up techniques that bring us to a better feeling state, like gratitude journal, or like I did, just immediately start listing some of the things that you're grateful for. And then there's connection. Reach out to friends and family who have your back and love you, and give them a call or send them a message. Share some good words with each other, whatever that takes to just make you feel comforted and like you belong. And then get curious as to where this blip on the radar is going to lead you. Like, what are you going to learn from it, right? How is this happening for your highest good? What adventure is this going to take you on? And what opportunities are going to present themselves? Because just like me, right? I used all of these. And so just like me, I'm betting that after you do all of these things, you're going to start to wonder what you were triggered about in the first place. So give it a go. The next time something irritates you, whether it's like a stranger or even somebody that you know, first just be aware of it. Like, notice that shift. Like, what the heck is going on here? And then just take a few beats to digest it. Digest what you're feeling, and then get curious about what story your mind might be starting to create and why. And one of the things that I love to ask this question, whether it be to myself or I even ask when I'm coaching clients or mentoring people, when they are starting to spin like that ugly story, I say to them, what evidence do you have that supports your mental movie right now? Because I have found typically there isn't any. In fact, the standard response for self included is, it's just how I feel. And feelings are real and they're allowed to be felt. And when we couple that with awareness, the way we digest those feelings is very different. And then, you know what? Never underestimate a gratitude list. That is magical. Just taking a minute and thinking of all the things that are working out for you is amazing. I do that every morning. I'm just grateful there's like air in my lungs. I'm grateful that I can move my body. I'm grateful that I have food on the table and clothes on my back and a roof over my head. I mean, there's so many things, if you just start thinking about it, that we have to be grateful for. And then texting someone that you care about, it just makes such a big difference. I love it. And even most especially if you use like a memoji, that's fun. Or just a voice note. It makes a big difference because you're connecting with people that you love. And yeah, last but not least, just unblock your energy. Get up and move around for a little while. Unblock the energy pathways. Use some EFT tapping too, right? Oh my God, that works like a charm when releasing blocked energy that's being held back by limiting beliefs. Whatever you choose to do, whatever it is that gets you to a better feeling state, do it, because the goal here is to remember that we always have a choice about where we direct our attention. Where our attention goes, the energy flows. And that energy is what we broadcast out to the universe as a signal to say, bring me more of this, please. And for me, last Thursday, my initial mood brought in that energy. And when I made that pivot, I not only felt better, but the opportunity to solve the issue long term presented itself, which only boosted my mood even more. And guess what? That water sensor, it's now happily in place in my rental by the property manager. And I will be looking to close out that biannual inspection in the very near future, which feels great. So it's a happy ending. And I have also been given that universal nudge to explore a new opportunity, which I probably would have procrastinated if I would have let it go anyway. So all of it, it's a win-win, simply because I chose how I was going to experience the entire event. And so I hope that this episode was helpful for everyone and also serves as a reminder about how valuable it can be for all of us to notice our emotions and to realize that the only one that those emotions impact is ourselves. And that reminds me too of a really awesome Buddha quote, which is, hanging on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. So give yourself the freedom to only be impacted by what you choose to be impacted by. Good or bad, it is truly your choice to make. And I also want to say too, I know that this episode came out of nowhere. Many of my episodes do, by the way. That's kind of how they just organically get formed. So I hope I wasn't rambling too much, and I hope it's actually made some good sense. But I want to add that I am going to be super excited for next week's episode, because I am going to share a manifestation come true as it relates to expanding the joy-filled universe. Yes, good things are coming, people. Good things are coming, so let's get excited. And speaking of excited, I hope that you had fun listening to today's episode. And if you did, a lovely rating would be so appreciated, and a review too. That would be amazing. Or even share it with a friend. All of this just takes a couple of seconds, and it truly, truly helps me out. So thank you so much for your support. It means a lot to me. And on that note, guess what? I'm your host, Lisa Ryan, and this happens to be the Joy-Filled Universe podcast, where we explore all the tools and tricks that are going to make your universe even more joyful than it already is. And I will see you next week. Bye.